The last hope of humanity. The vast silence of space was shattered as emergency signals flooded into the HMS Titan's communication systems. The Warship, Earth's most advanced piece of military technology, was drifting through the stars on what was supposed to be a routine systems test. But now, red warning lights flashed violently across the curved control panels, casting an eerie glow on the faces of the bridge crew. Captain Adrian Wolfe stood tall at the center of the bridge, his sharp blue eyes fixed on the incoming distress signals. His weathered face remained unreadable, a mask of discipline forged through years of war. One after another, desperate messages poured in, their voices trembling with terror. Mayday! Mayday! This is Outpost Kilo 7. Static crackled through the speakers. Void Fleet has breached our defenses. We are being overrun. Someone, please. The transmission cut off abruptly. This is the Arkan colony. We are sustaining heavy losses. Shields failing. Another voice echoed before ending in chilling silence. If anyone can hear this, please, help us. Then nothing. A heavy tension filled the bridge. Every crew member knew what this meant. The Void Fleet had returned. Lieutenant Sarah Lennox, the ship's tactical officer, clenched her fists as she turned to Wolfe. "Sir, we're getting reports from over 20 different star systems. Every colony in their path is being wiped out." Her voice was steady, but there was something in her eyes, something she was trying to suppress. Fear. Wolfe exhaled slowly. The Void Fleet. 6 months ago, they appeared from the dark abyss of space, an unstoppable force of destruction. No one knew their origins. No one had ever captured one of their ships intact. They didn't communicate. They didn't negotiate. They simply appeared, annihilated everything in sight, and vanished like ghosts. Humanity had faced war before, had fought against alien coalitions, had endured planetary invasions. But nothing like this. No fleet, no matter how advanced, had ever survived an encounter with the Void Fleet. They didn't fight like ordinary enemies. Their ships phased in and out of existence, appearing only when they struck, then vanishing before anyone could retaliate. Conventional weapons passed straight through them. The best military minds in the galaxy had been reduced to nothing but helpless spectators. And now, the HMS Titan, a single warship, was the only human vessel close enough to intervene. Wolfe clenched his jaw. His mind raced through the possibilities. 20 colonies attacked. Millions of lives at stake. They couldn't wait for reinforcements. The Titan was alone out here. If they turned away, countless innocents would die. If they engaged, they might join the long list of ships that had vanished. But Adrian Wolfe wasn't the kind of man to back down. He turned to his crew. "I know what you're all thinking." His voice was calm, steady, like iron in a storm. "We are one ship. One ship against an enemy that has torn through entire armadas. The logical choice would be to retreat, to regroup, to call for help that might not even come." He paused, letting his words sink in. Then his eyes swept across the bridge, locking onto each officer one by one. "But that's not what we're going to do." The silence in the room was thick enough to crush bones. "We are the Titan, the most advanced warship humanity has ever built." Wolfe stepped forward, his voice rising with unwavering conviction. "But more than that, we are human. And if history has taught us anything, it's that we do not run. We do not surrender. We make the impossible possible." A slow fire burned in his crew's eyes. Fear had not disappeared, but something else had taken its place. Resolve. Lieutenant James Radcliffe, the chief weapons officer, smirked. "Well, sir, if we're about to charge into certain death, at least we'll make it one hell of a fight." The bridge crew straightened. They were ready. Navigation. Set course for Proxima Colony, the closest system under attack. Wolfe ordered. Engines to maximum. We arrive in 6 hours. We use that time to prepare. I want every system running at peak efficiency. "Aye, Captain," came the collective response. The HMS Titan hummed as its thrusters roared to life. The stars outside stretched into streaks of light as the ship jumped to FTL speed, plunging straight into the unknown. A ghost in the darkness. 6 hours later, the Titan dropped out of FTL just beyond Proxima Colony. The sight that awaited them was pure horror. The colony's space stations were shattered. Gigantic fragments of destroyed ships floated like corpses, their metal husks still burning. The planetary defenses had been cut cleanly in half, their wreckage drifting through the void. The once thriving city domes on the planet's surface were now craters of molten glass. No life signs. Silence. Not even an enemy ship in sight. "They're gone," whispered Lennox, scanning the readings. "They came, they destroyed everything. And then they just disappeared." Wolfe's stomach twisted. This wasn't war. It was extermination. Then a sound. Not a distress call. Not a signal. A whisper. A soft, unnatural hiss filtered through the ship's speakers. Low, eerie, like the wind through an empty graveyard. The bridge's lights flickered for a second. "What the hell is that?" Ratcliffe muttered. Communications Officer Logan Pierce worked frantically at his station. "Sir, I don't know how, but something is inside our systems. It's not a transmission. It's..." The ship shook violently. Red lights flared again. "Incoming signature," Lennox shouted. "Void Fleet is here." On the main screen, the shadows moved. At first, they looked like nothing more than distortions against the stars. But then they materialized. Ships. Dark, jagged, unlike anything humanity had ever built. They didn't glow like traditional vessels. Instead, they absorbed light, like they were holes in space itself. They had come. The Titan's crew braced themselves. Weapons systems powered up. Shields activated. This was it. No ship had ever survived an encounter with the Void Fleet. But today, that was about to change. Because today, humanity fought back. The first strike. The HMS Titan stood alone in the void, surrounded by the scattered remnants of Proxima Colony. Its reinforced hull gleamed under the eerie glow of distant stars. But before it, an unnatural darkness began to spread. The Void Fleet had arrived. Captain Adrian Wolfe sat rigid in his command chair, eyes locked onto the main screen. Phantoms, that's what they looked like. Not ships, not machines, but something wrong, something that shouldn't exist. They weren't just dark, they were absence. The way light simply ceased around them was unnatural. It wasn't reflection, it wasn't cloaking. It was pure void. "Shields up. Weapons hot," Wolfe barked. "Sir," Lennox shouted, "they're phasing in and out of space. I can't get a proper lock." Wolfe's knuckles turned white against his chair's armrest. This was exactly why no fleet had survived an engagement with the void. They struck from nowhere. They vanished before retaliation. "Stay sharp," he commanded. "Find a pattern. They have to phase in at some point. Watch for it." As if in response, one of the void ships flickered, phasing into normal space for only a moment before surging forward. Incoming. The ship lunged toward the Titan at impossible speed. It didn't fire. It didn't hail. It didn't warn. It simply came. And then, impact. A bone-rattling thud shuddered through the ship, as if a mountain had slammed into them. The bridge dimmed, emergency lights flashing. A klaxon wailed through the hull. "Hull integrity holding," engineering reported. But the void ship was inside them. Not through them. Not ramming them. Inside. The crew stared in horror as the ship's holographic schematic flickered, showing an intruder ship occupying the same space as the Titan. Like it had phased into them. Then, the ship's walls began to bend. The very metal rippled, like it was trying to reject what was happening but couldn't. "They're merging with our ship," Lennox yelled. There. The walls began to dissolve into something unrecognizable, a void spreading like an infection. Then the screaming started. Deck 4 reported casualties first, then Deck 5. People were disappearing. Not dying. Disappearing. Like they'd been erased. Wolfe had never known fear like this. It wasn't war. It wasn't battle. It was erasure. Fire EV thing. He roared. Radcliffe didn't hesitate. The Titan's main guns roared to life. But the moment the weapons hit the void ship, nothing. Nothing. The weapons phased through like the ship wasn't even real. Then the void ship's exterior shifted. From its abyssal form, it began to reshape, taking on the shape of the Titan itself. The void fleet didn't just destroy. They assimilated. They became what they fought. And now, they were becoming the Titan. Backup weapons, all frequencies, EMP rounds, plasma, anything, Wolfe ordered. But then, a whisper. Not from the comms, not from any known system. It was inside their heads. You do not belong here. A single voice, deep, hollow, infinite. The crew clutched their heads in pain as the sound dug into their skulls like hooks. Radcliffe was the first to recover. His fingers flew across the console. "Captain, I think we can disrupt them." Wolfe forced himself to focus. "How?" Radcliffe pointed to the fluctuating energy signatures on the screen. "They phase in and out. But look, they need a specific harmonic field to do it. If we break that field, they'll be stuck in normal space." A weakness. For the first time since this nightmare began, they had a weakness. "Get me Thompson in engineering," Wolfe ordered. "Tell him we need a harmonic disruptor now." Radcliffe didn't wait. "Sir, with respect, we don't have time for that. We have something already." The captain frowned. "What?" Radcliffe's smirk was pure insanity. "Music, sir." Silence. Even amid the chaos, the entire bridge turned to look at him. Radcliffe tapped his console. "Look, their frequency oscillates like a waveform. The same way sound waves move through air. If we hit them with a chaotic enough frequency, something that doesn't match their perfect mathematical sequences, we break the pattern." Wolfe stared. "And you're telling me music will do that?" Radcliffe shrugged. "Nothing else is working." The captain clenched his jaw. "Do it." Radcliffe didn't waste a second. His fingers flew across his screen as he scrolled through the Titan's entertainment database. The moment his selection locked in, the ship's external amplifiers roared to life. And then, guitars, drums, a wall of sound, heavy metal ripped through the void. Wolfe wasn't sure what was crazier, the fact that this was their plan, or the fact that it was working. The void ship trembled. Its form rippled, its solid black surface flickering, glitching, breaking apart. The whispering stopped. The walls solidified. The ship that had been phasing into them was now trapped in normal space. Wolfe wasted no time. All batteries. Fire. The Titan's full arsenal unleashed hell. This time, the weapons struck. Explosions ripped through the void ship's hull as chunks of unnatural material tore away. It let out a scream. Not a sound. A presence. A wail that shook reality itself. Then, silence. The void ship disintegrated. For the first time in history, a void vessel had been destroyed. And the Titan was still standing. A long, stunned pause filled the bridge. Then, Radcliffe let out a breathless laugh. We actually did it." Lennox stared at the empty space where the void ship had been. "They're not invincible." Wolfe exhaled slowly. Then he turned to the bridge crew, his expression set in stone. "We've just proven that the void fleet can be fought. We found a weakness." His voice was low but full of certainty. "Now we use it." Silence. Then, a single blip on the sensors. Lennox's face paled. "Sir." Wolfe turned. "Report." She swallowed hard. "They're coming." The screen flickered. Then, hundreds. Thousands. The Void Fleet had arrived. Wolfe clenched his fists. They had their answer. Now, they had their war. The war begins. The vast expanse of space rippled like a disturbed ocean as the Void Fleet fully materialized around the HMS Titan. Not a handful of ships. Not a fleet. An armada. Thousands of dark, formless vessels emerged from the abyss, blocking out the stars. Each one was a wound in reality, shifting and pulsing as though they existed in more than just 3 dimensions. Their sheer presence felt wrong, like something the universe itself was trying to reject. On the Titan's bridge, the crew stared in silence. It wasn't just the numbers. It was the certainty that this would be their end. Radcliffe was the first to break the silence. His voice was barely above a whisper. "We just pissed off a goddamn army." Captain Adrian Wolfe stood still, his sharp gaze locked onto the sensor readings. The enemy fleet was surrounding them, forming a cage of darkness that stretched as far as their instruments could detect. A normal man would have lost hope. Wolfe felt something else. Not fear. Not despair. Resolve. He turned to his officers, his voice sharp and unwavering. "We made history today. We took down a void ship, something no one else has ever done. And now they want to erase us before we can tell the galaxy their secret." The bridge crew held their breath. But they made a mistake. Wolfe continued, his steel blue eyes burning. "They think we're cornered. They think we're afraid." He took a step forward. "What they don't know is that humans are never more dangerous than when we have nothing to lose." Lennox straightened in her chair. Radcliffe cracked his knuckles. Around the bridge, the fire of defiance reignited in every officer's eyes. They weren't dead yet. They were about to make this fight legendary. The first salvo. The void ships didn't fire weapons. They didn't need to. Instead, they simply moved, shifting through space in ways that shouldn't have been possible, disappearing and reappearing in impossible patterns. Then, the Titan shook violently. No explosions, no lasers, just absence. Entire sections of space were vanishing, as though reality itself was being deleted. Radcliffe checked his readings. "They're trying to phase the ship out of existence." Wolfe's hands tightened into fists. "Thompson, do we have a countermeasure?" In engineering, Chief Engineer Marcus Thompson and his team were ripping apart the Titan's systems, jury-rigging new technology in real time. "Almost there, Captain. We're integrating the harmonic disruptors directly into the shield emitters. Give me 2 minutes." They didn't have 2 minutes. Outside, the void ships loomed closer, their formless bodies beginning to merge into one another. A gargantuan, writhing mass of pure nothingness. A black hole that could think. A presence so overwhelming that it pressed against their very minds. "You are an error, a corruption in the pattern." The voice didn't come from the comms. It came from inside them. Inside their heads. Inside their bones. Inside their very existence. For a brief, terrible moment, Wolfe felt like he wasn't real. Like he was a memory being forgotten. Then, music. A scream of electric guitar. A wall of drums and distortion. The void's whisper shattered in an instant. Radcliffe punched the air. "Hell yeah. Our music is screwing with their damn reality field." On the bridge, the sound of classical strings mixed with thunderous rock anthems echoed from the Titan speakers. The void fleet hesitated. Their movements became slower. Their perfect patterns became chaotic. They don't like unpredictability, Lennox realized, eyes wide. They don't understand creativity. They don't understand music. Wolfe finished. Then, with a sudden burst of movement, one of the void ships lunged forward, a last-ditch attempt to phase directly into the Titan's core. Wolfe didn't hesitate. All batteries. Full volley. The Titan unleashed hell. The ship's entire weapons array detonated at once, every plasma cannon, railgun, and particle accelerator firing in unison. But this time, it worked. The void ship, trapped in normal space by the Titan's harmonic field, took the full force of the barrage. It burst apart in an explosion of black liquid, dissolving into the void. One down, thousands left. But Wolfe had seen what he needed to see. They could win. They just needed to push further. The impossible counterattack. Thompson, are the harmonic shields ready? Done. Firing them up now. The Titan's shields pulsed, no longer just an energy barrier, but a frequency disruptor. The void ships hesitated. Their advantage was vanishing. Radcliffe grinned savagely. "Captain," he said, eyes burning, "I think it's time we play defense." Wolfe nodded. "Let's show them what humanity can do." For the first time in history, a human warship wasn't just surviving a battle with the Void Fleet. It was fighting back. And winning. The war had begun.